Hi, nice to see you again. I am Chengzi the Orange. In our last video, we have explored Haruki Murakami's novel Norwegian Wood, where many characters like Naoko and Reiko clearly exhibit signs of severe depressions. Although the story is set in Japanese society during 1967-1969, over 5 decades later, depression remains a persistent global issue, and it may be worsening. In this video, we'll discuss the pervasiveness, the severity, and the underlying causes of depression disorders. How common is depression today? The prevalence of depression is alarmingly high and continues to rise. Depression is a leading cause of disability worldwide. In 1990, there were 170.8 million individuals identified with depressive disorders. And by 2019, this number had surged to 279.6 million. Notably, more women are affected by this condition than men. In the United States, the situation is equally concerning. According to self-reported PHQ-9 data, the prevalence of major depressive disorder in adults in 2019 was estimated at 7.8%, representing 19.8 million adults. Following the COVID-19 pandemic, global mental health issues, including depression, have worsened. Younger adults aged 18 to 29 were the hardest hit. A CDC survey revealed that in early January and February 2021, about 57% of young adults reported symptoms of depression during the past 7 days, far exceeding the rates observed in the 40 years and above age groups. Then how serious is depression today? The stereotype of disability often evokes images of individuals in wheelchairs or bedridden, but the reality is far more diverse. Many people with disabilities, including those with depression, may appear physically healthy. Globally, depressive disorders ranked 13th among the top 25 leading causes of disability in 2019, standing alongside major conditions such as diabetes, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, COPD, injury, cirrhosis, Alzheimer's disease, and stroke. A study from Germany shows that, on average, individuals with severe depression experience 72 days of work incapacity in their first year of diagnosis. Alarmingly, 42% of these individuals continue working despite severe mental distress, but their productivity and work quality are significantly lower than that of healthy colleagues. Prolonged work under such conditions often worsens their mental health. In the US, the economic toll of depression is staggering. In 2019, the total cost associated with MDD reached $333.7 billion. These costs encompassed healthcare expenses, 38.1%, household-related costs, 24%, reduced productivity at work, presenteeism, 13%, and missed workdays, absenteeism, 11.5%. In addition to physical disability and economic burden, depression significantly increases the risk of suicide. Individuals with major depressive disorder face an 8-fold higher risk of suicide. In 2019, within the United States, 45,861 individuals died by suicide, and 67% of those cases were linked to MDD. Then what is the main causes of depression disorders? There are many factors that contribute to depression disorders. I believe that many people can easily name some of these causes. Life trauma such as childhood loss of a parent, the death of a spouse, childhood neglect, or sexual abuse. Life stress like poverty, job loss, or an exhausting divorce. Substance abuse such as addiction to alcohol, caffeine, cannabis, or hallucinogens. Chronic diseases and pain. And hormonal changes, especially during adolescence after giving birth of a child and menopause. These factors can leave lasting imprints on our emotions and mental state, sometimes even causing physical changes in brain structures. Our brains have various functional regions, among which the prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, amygdala, anterior cingulate cortex, thalamus, together with a few other regions, play essential roles in cognition and emotion. Using functional MRI and PET scans, scientists have observed that in individuals with depression often have volume shrinkage, tissue loss, and altered activity in brain areas like the prefrontal cortex, hippocampus, amygdala, anterior cingulate cortex, and thalamus. These brain changes can be both the cause and the result of depression. It's like the chicken and egg question. What came first may not matter as much as what we can do about it. Can patients recover if their brain structures are already altered? The good news is that recovery is possible. Just as a sport injury may weaken muscles or bones temporarily, but can heal with proper exercise and nutrition, individuals with depression can also regain mental health. Though structural deficits in the brain may take time to heal, functional brain activity can normalize with psychological and pharmacological therapies. So, what's happening at the molecular level in the brain that messes with brain function and leads to depression? Here are the top culprits: genes, neurotransmitters, neurotrophins, HPA axis and cortisol, inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, and oxidative stress, metabolism, and the kynurenine pathway. 1. Genes. Genetics definitely play a role. If your parents have depression, your chances are higher, but this isn't set in stone. Genetic factors only account for 40–50%, while the environment takes the rest. Plus, depression isn't caused by one rogue gene, but by the interaction of many. So don't stress about your DNA. 2. Neurotransmitters. These are the brain's messengers like serotonin, your feel-good chemical, dopamine, the reward and motivation guy, and norepinephrine, the energy booster. Imbalances in these are closely linked to depression. 3. Neurotrophins. Think of these as brain food. They're proteins that help neurons grow and function. Low levels of neurotrophins can throw off brain chemistry, making you more vulnerable to depression. 4. HPA axis and cortisol. This is your body's stress alarm system. It involves the hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and adrenal glands. When you're stressed, it cranks up cortisol, the stress hormone, to prepare you for action. But for people with depression, this system goes haywire, pumping out too much cortisol and exhausting the brain and body. 5. Inflammation. Inflammation is like your body's fire alarm. It calls immune cells to repair damage. But if the alarm never shuts off, it starts to mess with brain cell communication and even kills brain cells. Chronic inflammation linked to depression often comes from things like gut problems, obesity, or autoimmune diseases. 6. Mitochondrial dysfunction and oxidative stress. Your cells' power plants, the mitochondria, keep things running. When they malfunction, brain cells don't get enough energy. Plus, damaged mitochondria produce waste, reactive oxygen species, or ROS, leading to oxidative stress that harms the brain. 7. Metabolism and the kynurenine pathway. When you eat foods like chicken, eggs, or fish, the tryptophan in them helps make serotonin, your feel-good chemical. But under stress or inflammation, tryptophan is redirected to the kynurenine pathway, aka the dog pee amino acid pathway, producing less serotonin and dragging down your mood. Then, among all the causes of depression disorders, which culprit is the biggest? There is no single biggest culprit, but stress often initiates the cascade of dysfunctions, such as HPA axis overactivation, mitochondrial impairment, and inflammation. Can we avoid stress? No. Stress is part of life. You can't avoid it. But you can tackle the other culprits through psychotherapies and antidepressant treatments. This is the end of this talk. In the next video, we'll discuss the diagnosis and self-assessment of depression disorders. Thank you for watching. See you soon.